Welcome to the Tuesday, May 17th meeting here. Sorry for the delay this morning. We have technical difficulties going on, but we can manage. Today, say in our invocation, we have Megan Palmer. She's a children's pastor at Celebration Church in Fairhope, and she's going to come up to the podium and lead us in our invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Gruber. If you don't mind, come on up. If y'all don't mind, please stand.
Good morning. I'm Megan Palmer from Celebration Church, and I'm super thankful to be here today. So if y'all could all join me in a moment of prayer, let's bow our heads. Dear God, we thank you so much for today, God. We thank you for every blessing that you've given us, every person here, every matter of business that's going to be addressed today. God, we pray that your hand would be upon all of it, Lord. God, that you would give us wisdom to do the things that need to be done, Lord, and give us guidance in how to handle the things that need to be handled. Lord, we pray from the beginning to the end of this meeting today, God, that your hand would be upon every decision made and every person here, God. And we pray that you would bless them, bless our city, bless our state, and bless America, God. Lord, we ask all of this in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Can you join me for our pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone else. Today, we have before us our agenda. The first item on the agenda is adoption of the May 3rd, 2022 regular meeting minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
A motion by Commissioner Gruber, second by Commissioner Underwood to approve the May 3rd, 2022 regular meeting minutes. Any discussion on that topic? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Commissioners, we have before us our consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we adopt our consent.
Hang on just one second. I just want to, for the record, item BR2 was pulled from the agenda and will be brought back on June the 7th.
Okay.
And so if you were in the motion, state that.
I'll make a motion that we adopt our consent agenda, make a note that item BR2 has been pulled.
I'll second that.
Got a motion by Commissioner Underwood, a second by Commissioner Davis to adopt our consent agenda. Any discussion on the consent agenda? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All right, next up, we have our presentations. Do things a little different today. Give Ron a little TV time. And he's going to be reading our presentations to us today, and then after that, we'll come down for pictures and stuff. So if y'all would, the first presentation is going to be the proclamation of Baldwin County Beach Safe Week. For anybody here for that, please come to the podium. Go down there. All right. Who's Beach Safe Week? Let's go. Okay. Have y'all go to the podium? Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Ron.
Proclaiming May 23rd through the 30th, 2022, Baldwin County Beach Safe Week in Baldwin County, Alabama. Whereas the beautiful coastal and inland beaches of Baldwin County represent a world-renowned recreational resource, and whereas the Baldwin County residents and guests alike are drawn to these beaches by the millions each year for water and beach activities, and whereas the aquatic environment has dangers, particularly rip currents, that can be effectively managed through public awareness and the vigilance of professional lifeguards, and whereas for reasons of public safety, an annual reminder of the joys and hazards associated with the aquatic environment are appropriate at the commencement of the busy summer beach season. And whereas Baldwin County residents and guests alike must remember to check weather and surf conditions daily, know their limitations, swim near a lifeguard, sign up for daily surf condition text alerts, know and heed the beach warning flags, learn how to escape a rip current, and know what to do when someone else is in danger. And whereas the Baldwin County Commission recognizes the 7 days prior to Memorial Day each year as Baldwin County Beach Safe Week in conjunction with National Beach Safety Week, and urges all residents and guests using our beaches to enjoy themselves at the beach this year while taking appropriate measures to protect themselves and their families. Now therefore, be it proclaimed by the Baldwin County Commission in regular session assembled that the week of May 23rd through 30th, 2022 is hereby set aside as Baldwin County Beach Safe Week in Baldwin County, Alabama, and the Baldwin County Commission joins Gulf Shores and Orange Beach Tourism in their collective efforts to participate in beach safety awareness throughout Baldwin County.
Commissioner Jones, we're going to take pictures.
Oh, yeah, I do want to give my appreciation from Gulf Shores and Orange Beach Tourism for your partnership on this. It'll go a long way in keeping our guests and our locals safe. So.
We're going to get some pictures of the beach.
Center table will tell us if we're in the center. If you right in the center, then we'll surround you. Is that good? Right there? Yeah. I feel like it's skewed this way a little bit. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Get our steps in today.
That's right here, a dot, a big dot.
Commissioners, before we adopt this proclamation, do y'all want to say anything about Beach Safe Week?
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to say, it's we just need to remind our visitors that come to the beach to be very cautious of the waters. We do have a lot of rip currents in the Gulf of Mexico, and we have lost several people's lives in it. So just be aware of what's going on in the water around you, and pay particular attention to the flag system that's on the beaches, and just, like I said, just watch the thing. And it's got weather channels all the time broadcasting these rip currents and telling you what they are. So, but please, adhere to those precautions. Thank you.
I just want to thank you guys for the efforts that have been put forth to notify people and the signage and all the things that have gone forth. Growing up here, being a little girl, I remember my mama saying back then the terminology was watch out for the undertow. And until you felt yourself sucked under like that, thank goodness there was always an adult there to kind of grab you up. But, I really feel like that people don't realize that as much as we love our water and all that, this is from a different scenario, but I remember going off on a deep sea fishing trip, and the boat beside us that left come in, and they were like, oh man, that was rough. And this guy looked at me and he goes, the sea is no man's friend. And that's kind of been a joke amongst our family members. And it's like, as much as we love it, we have to respect it. And so I do appreciate all the signage that you guys do. You can't make people do things, but I feel like the more that we have things out there, I'm really impressed with the stay alert and the beach safe and all these things that you guys have done. So thank you for your efforts, and you know what? Every life that's saved is worth it. Thank you.
I've been going to Gulf Shores since 1962. I can remember when Gulf Shores was a fishing village, and we also would travel from my hometown of Thomasville, leave at 4:30 in the morning, drive down, play in the water, and drive back. Us locals should know and do know the safety hazards that are out there. Our visitors who might be from the Midwest or someplace where a lake or a pond or a river is what they're used to, and that has its perils as well, but not nearly as much as the shoreline. So let's help communicate with everybody, and let's recognize our oldest son referred to it as all the big water when he was about 3 years old. So he'd say, "Dad, let's go out to all the big water." And now he's 52 years old and doing his own thing as well. But the key thing is that we've got to be sure to remind people and be bold enough. If you see somebody that's doing something that might put them in peril, say something to them. If it offends them, that's okay. But more importantly, it may save their life. So let's continue to do our job, and thank you all very much for calling this to everybody's attention. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank everybody involved for making this proclamation what it is. Commissioners, I get a vote on this?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the proclamation presented.
Second.
I got a motion by Commissioner Davis, a second by Commissioner Underwood to adopt proclamation CA1, Baldwin County Beach Safe Week. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Next up, Commissioner Gruber. We have item CA2. This is a proclamation, Emergency Medical Services Week. If all those involved in this presentation would please come down to the podium, or come up to the podium, however you want to say that.
Yeah, you'll be behind him. Yeah.
Ron?
Proclaiming May 15th through the 21st, 2022 as Emergency Medical Services Week in Baldwin County, Alabama. Whereas the emergency medical system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. And whereas the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. And whereas emergency medical services have grown to fill a gap by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventative medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine. And whereas the members of emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Baldwin County Commission in regular session assembled that the week of May 15th through the 21st, 2022 is hereby set aside as Emergency Medical Services Week in Baldwin County, Alabama.
Thank you all for coming up this morning and leading this.
Did y'all want to say anything about?
Just appreciate you recognizing us this week, EMS workers and first responders across the country, and especially here in Baldwin County. Appreciate the support from you all, what you do each and every day in support of all of us. So thank you for having us.
Commissioners, y'all want to join in the picture?
Yes.
This is going to be a good one here. Do you think it would be better, Taylor, if we stood up here behind them? It may just be better because there's so many. We can get above them. Count.
A lot of them are taller than most of them are taller.
They can see us. We can make it work.
Okay, all right.
We got y'all's back.
Hold on.
Why aren't you in the picture?
Come on, you got it, come on.
All right, I need you four to just do this one.
Let's get this one, okay? We've been called a lot of things, but you fours.
Keep going.
Okay, that's good. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. Thank you for all you did.
Commissioners, would y'all like to say anything about this proclamation?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, without our emergency providers that we have, we'd be in real bad shape. I know they are really loaded with the work that they do. They stay busy all the time. You can just be on the highway and all, you see nothing but ambulances and stuff running up and down the road transporting people. And the air folks, I see y'all a lot flying over. I know y'all are making a lot of calls with that too. And that's something that was added to Baldwin County that really helped Baldwin County to get personnel that were injured in an accident or somebody who has a life-saving event that's going on, so they can get to a hospital a whole lot faster. So I appreciate all that y'all do. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. It's, what we've been through in the past few years with the pandemic and with the labor shortages and things like that. I've heard some great reports from you guys. Every time I hear that helicopter flying overhead, or I think my house is right on the route that you guys probably take to Fairhope. I hear you coming down County Road 34 quite often, and I'm like, there they go, and I'm so thankful that we're just minutes away from help, and we live in an area where that we have that sense of security and peace of mind, knowing that you guys are there. You're there every day, and there's some areas that don't have that. I had traveled out west to a conference one time several years ago, and that was one of the things that they mentioned about living in these certain remote areas, is that the only thing they had was air transport, which is good, but when it's many, many miles away, that's still a long way to help. And I think that you guys, I see more of your truck ambulances. I hear the helicopter all the time. Very near and dear to me. There was a situation not long ago where I know we've heard it over and over and over again. I'm sorry to repeat it, but my brother, you guys were there in 8 minutes. He suffered a serious heart condition from a post-viral cardiomyopathy or something like that. We didn't know what it was, thought it was a massive heart attack, but you guys were there. I mean, at midnight, 12:30 at night, and just to hear the story of all that unfolded and how that you saved lives, I'm so thankful that you guys are there, and just keep up the good work, and thank you for wanting to do what you do. It takes a passion no matter what you do. I feel like it's a calling and a passion to do what you do, and I appreciate it.
I too want to thank each and every one of you. Those of us that are my age can remember when you just had to get somebody in a car and try to get them to the nearest hospital, and the nearest hospital might be 30 or 40 miles away. Well, things are a little different now, but it's all about timing, and it's all about what you can do as soon as you get there. And you guys and gals know what to do. You know when to do it. And for those of us that are living here, it makes us really feel comfortable. For those that are visiting here, if they ever have to call on you or have you called, it makes them appreciate you as well. So thank you for what you do. It's all about timing and training and being available to do the right thing the right way for the right reasons. Thank y'all.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything they said, I'm in agreement too, and I just wanted to personally thank each and every one of you. We went through, when we first got into office, we went through some pretty dark times with our emergency services here in Baldwin County, and all you would get was a lot of negative feedback of the response times, no units, no help, no support, And when everything's going well now and y'all are providing excellent service and everything's beefed back up to where nobody ever tells you anything about it. So I'm glad we have this week today to say thank you for what you do, because just like we take a lot of heat up here, it's always good to get a thank you every now and then, and we appreciate everything that you do. I think in some circumstances the sheriff deputies would be lumped into this category just as well, because they're usually the first responders on any of these things with all their life-saving techniques that they've got on their person. So just thank y'all for what you do again. I'm humbled to be able to announce this proclamation today along with my colleagues here. It's well deserving, and I think instead of a week, I think every day is both of these things should be recognized 360 something more days out of the year, because both are very important to us. So I'm glad that we can acknowledge both of these today. Commissioners, do we have a vote on proclamation CA2?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve proclamation for the Emergency Medical Service Week.
Second that.
Got a motion by Commissioner Gruber, second by Commissioner Davis to approve proclamation CA2 noting Emergency Medical Services Week. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All right. Motion passes. All right, next up, I am going to kind of go out of line here on the agenda. Commissioner Davis had a phone call the other day that really touched his heart, and this is going to be involving our solid waste department as well. Mr. Thomas, if you would, and the others from solid waste, if y'all would like to come up to the podium, it is yours. And just share a little bit, Mr. Thomas, about what you experienced. And because like I said up here a minute ago, it's not always good conversations and good feedback that we get up here, and so we thought it'd be a good idea that you come up here and tell us something good today. So the podium is yours.
Well, I'm not sure I'm going to tell you something good. I'm Art Thomas. I live in Barnwell, native of Baldwin County. And as you know, a few weeks ago, Magnolia Landfill had a free dump Saturday, which was perfect because I was in the middle of remodeling my garage apartment. After my experience, I called Commissioner Davis to express my feelings about what transpired, and he said, well, come bring your complaints to the commission. So here I am. The event was advertised as starting at 7 o'clock on Saturday morning, so I loaded up Friday and went to the landfill, and as I turned the 90-degree turn at the foot of the mountain on Highway 49, I saw I was a long way from getting in there. There must have been 40 vehicles between me and the gate. Right then I thought, well, it's going to be a long day. And then I realized there were a couple of ladies walking down the street, stopping at each vehicle. They came up and asked your name, your address, gave you a number, said they'll take this number at the scales. And once 7 o'clock rolled around, we started moving. And we weren't flying, but it wasn't like I was stuck on the bayway again. And when I got to the scale, we weren't there 15 seconds. They measured it, they weighed us, took my number, sent me to the mountain. Got up on top of the mountain, and there was a gentleman there. Actually, there were several there offering directions and telling what to do. Asked me what I had. I told them. They said, well, go over there by that dumpster. There's a guy there that'll help you unload those TVs. Before I got out of my Suburban, he had already unloaded them. And he said, now you go back up to that guy. He's waiting for you. So I backed up to him, and by the time I got out to go around to open the tailgate, he already had tailgate down and unloading. And I wasn't there. Once I went through the scale, I wasn't there 30 minutes max, back out through the scales. And I just thought that the people that pulled that deal off are deserving of a pat on the back, because I expected it to be at least a lunchtime experience. And I know that management and make the schedules and assign the people to make the event, but they can't make the attitude of all those people on the ground. They were all helpful. There wasn't anybody fussing about working on a Saturday morning or anything. It was great, and I just felt like they need to know. They need a pat on the back. And as an aside, my regular driver, Luke, I talk to him whenever I can catch him, comes on Mondays, and he's that same quality person. So I think Baldwin County Waste Management is doing a good job, particularly at Magnolia.
Commissioners?
Yeah, thank you for that. You know, a lot of times we don't get the thank you for the services that we provide, and it's something that our employees work very hard to make sure that we have quality customer service, and they're to also be commended. And I thank you for bringing that forward and recognizing our employees. And thank you so very much.
Yes, sir. You're welcome.
Well, it just warms my heart to hear this, and thank you, ladies standing behind him. Thank you for bringing this to our attention and to give them that credit, because they do work hard. When I first became commissioner, one of my first things to do was to go down and visit the landfill, and I'm just fascinated by what they do there. It's amazing. And I know you win on the free day, but they're like that every day. You don't have to wait in line down the street, on a regular day, but they are awesome. I know people who use them regularly, and they're always talking about how cheerful they are at the scale house and different things like that. And so I really appreciate that, because you're exactly right. Not everywhere that you go are people happy. And, I know there's probably some days that people may not feel as good and that kind of thing, but to hear this is wonderful. And so hopefully you won't just go on free day, because it's not, if you need to go again, you'll not be afraid to see what's down there at the landfill.
Oh, I go.
Let me share with you that phone call. I got a call that said, Joe Davis, my name is Art Thomas, and I need to talk to you. I don't have a complaint, but I need to talk to you. Well, all of us up here get all kind of calls, and you just have to get your defense mechanism up, thinking, well, I'm fixing to walk into a slam dunk of me. But Art and I talked, and it just was so genuine. He and I just met this morning, but we have met over the phone, and it's this kind of feedback that our troops that are on the line need to hear about, and that's in every department, because part of our mantra has been, as we get bigger, let's get better at everything we do. And so, Art, we really appreciate you calling this to our attention. We knew it, but we needed a person like yourself to be able to say it. And Terry, you and your people, as do our other departments, do a great job of taking care of our citizens. If you could, tell us a little bit about the numbers that were dealt with that day. Could you please?
Yes. I brought them with me. So, on free day, we served over 1,600 customers across our 4 locations. So Magnolia did have the most. We were right at 600 people there, and that was just over 1,000 tons of trash that was disposed of on that Saturday, and we took in over 4,200 tires across the 4 locations. And I want to say the biggest thing is we had 56 employees who made that day happen. I didn't do that. I couldn't do it without them, but they all show up for that day. I think they all really enjoy that day, because they get to have a lot more interaction with people, and it was really great. A lot of the years past, we've been able to use like community corrections or something to help us, but we don't have that anymore. So this was all our solid waste employees who made this day happen for our citizens, and kudos to them. They did a great job.
Who do you have with you today?
This is Rachel Filial and Mary Phillips, and they both worked at Magnolia.
Okay. Fantastic. Well, thank you,
and I had a couple of guys that were coming, but I think they may have gone to MoveNet.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas, for your kind comments, and we appreciate that and welcome that, and thank you guys for all that you do out at the landfill, and with a smile on your face sometimes. So thank you all again for everything.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioners, we're at our public hearings section of our agenda, our first public hearing today is going to be item DA1. It's dealing with Edel Video LLC doing business as REV/Cable Television System Franchise Agreement. There's a replacement attachment to be noted for the record. The revised agreement has corrected the LLC name from corporation to company, and the date of acceptance from May 3rd to May 17th. Just note that for the record. All right, who's going to be involved in this? I'm going to open the public hearing on Edel Video LLC DBA REV Cable Television System Franchise Agreement. Public hearing is open. You're here to speak for this. What do you want to tell us a little bit about this again?
Sure. Good morning. My name is Janet Britton. I'm here on behalf of Etel Video, and we do business as Rev. We are our sister companies are over 87 years old, based in Louisiana, and this is our sort of foray into Alabama. We have an opportunity based on a developer in Louisiana. We're very excited about the opportunity this presents. We have a very long history of providing excellent service to our customers. We're very customer focused, a family-owned business, and we look forward to serving Baldwin County and ask for your approval so that we are able to use the rights of way with regard to this fiber optic cable TV, internet, telecom system.
And I would like to just add, I wanted to thank you for sending those follow-ups so quick that where we could look and see some of the ratings that you had and approvals and that kind of stuff. So appreciate that.
You're welcome. I thought that providing perspective from government after Hurricane Ida, we are truly, I had a conversation with one of you before the meeting. We're truly tried and true in terms of our ability to recover from disasters of many kinds, whether it's flood. We had a great flood in 2016. Hurricane Ida, our footprint in Louisiana took 150-mile-an-hour winds, and we recovered from that. We actually had a visit from the FCC chair and another commissioner because we were the most impacted company in the country and participated in a resiliency panel put together by the FCC. So I know you all know about hurricanes.
Oh, yeah.
Let's pray for, well, you can't pray for it to go somewhere else because somewhere else could either be where I live or where you live. Let's just pray we have still waters in terms of hurricane activity.
Is there anybody else signed up today that wants to speak for this or against this? All right. All right, public hearing is now closed. Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve item number DA1, the Video LLC doing business as Rev.
And I'll second that.
All right, so we got a motion by Commissioner Gruber, second by Commissioner Underwood to approve item DA1. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, next up, we're in our planning and zoning public hearing phase. The first case is number Z22/3, the Century Plaza property rezoning. Selena?
Good morning. This is a request to rezone almost 23 acres. The subject property is located in Planning District 32. It is currently zoned RA, Rural Agriculture. It's located just off of Fish Trap Road, which is known as Barber's Marina. The applicant is asking that it be rezoned to MR, Marine Recreation. They would like to expand their marina, boatyard, a marine service, and have some new offices. As you can see from the zoning map, the 22.9 acres is outlined in black as part of a larger parcel, but they are just asking for the 22 acres to be rezoned to MR. To the east is MR, and to the south is Orange Beach, and to the north is zoned RA, Rural Agriculture. Here's some pictures of the subject property and adjacent properties. Here's a picture of their site plan, what it currently is right now. You have your existing RV1, RV park, your existing MR, and then in red is what they want to rezone to MR for marine recreation. The applicant, this is the City of Orange Beach zoning map, and you can see to the south of the subject property, they have the zoning of MR, which is Marine Resort. To the east is PUD, which is a planned unit development. And the dotted area, they have not put a zoning on it yet. Staff has recommended approval, and the Planning Commission also recommended approval at their last Planning Commission meeting.
All right.
And I believe the applicant's here if you have any questions.
All right, I'm going to open this public hearing. Is there anybody signed up wishing to speak for this project?
Good morning. I'm Charles Jerkowitz with Arbor Marina, and really just here to answer any questions you may have on the rezoning.
Do y'all have any questions?
No, it's
we don't have any questions.
cut and dry.
Okay, that's easy.
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thorough job.
Is there anybody else that's in the room today that signed up to either speak for or against this project? All right. Public hearing is closed. Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the rezoning request for case number Z22-3 for Century Plaza property.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Commissioner Underwood, a second by Commissioner Davis to approve case Z22/3 Century Plaza property rezoning. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, next case is Z22/4 Smith property rezoning.
All right, this is a request to rezone a little over half an acre. It's located in Planning District 16, which is the subject property is on the east side of US Highway 98. It is currently zoned B2 Neighborhood Business District and is vacant. The applicant is asking that it be rezoned to B3 in order so they could develop a drive-through coffee shop. As you can see, the subject property is surrounded by B3 zoning. There's some B2 to the north and south, some residential and commercial to the west. Here's a picture of the subject property and some of the surrounding properties. As stated, they're asking for a B3 to do a drive-in coffee shop. Here is their proposed site plan. Staff sees no issues with this request and has recommended approval. The Planning Commission also recommended approval at their meeting, and the applicant is here if y'all have any questions.
Okay. Thank you, Selena.
Thank you.
All right, the public hearing now is open on case Z22/4 Smith property rezoning. Does the applicant want to come up and say anything?
Good morning. My name is Chris Lee with Lee Engineering Company. I'm here on behalf of the developer, and I'm here to answer any questions that you may have, and we want to thank you for your time this morning.
Commissioners, do y'all have any questions? We don't have any questions, so that's always a good thing.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Is anybody else signed up for this that wants to speak for or against this rezoning? Okay. Public hearing is now closed. Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion we approve case number Z22-4 Smith property rezoning.
And I'll second that.
All right. We got a motion by Commissioner Gruber, a second by Commissioner Underwood to approve case Z22-4 Smith property rezoning. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Next up is item DR3.
Thanks, Selena.
Thanks, Selena.
Thank you.
Matthew, you're going to come up and do this one, right? Yes, sir. All right.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
This is a staff report for proposed text amendment and public hearing for the Baldwin County zoning ordinance. I just want to start real quickly by noting that this presentation is not meant to be comprehensive. There are lots of small kind of clerical changes that were corrected. That was all published online, part of the agenda, and also available through our website. I'm going to just go over kind of a highlight summary of this. One thing I'd like to remind everybody, the Planning and Zoning Department, we manage 6 different rule books. The biggest 2 are the zoning ordinance and the subdivision regulations, but at the end of the day, whenever we change these rule books, we have to come to the governing body to make those changes. So that's what's taking place today, is a proposed amendment to the zoning ordinance. Just as a reminder for the public input process on this, we had 2 voluntary stakeholder meetings that we published out to developers, applicants, engineers, folks who are involved in this process. We got very little involvement. We had 2 or 3 attend each of those meetings, but overall very little feedback, negative or positive, on these changes. Again, it kind of highlights the more cursory aspect of these changes across the ordinance. It also went to the Planning Commission, who gave an affirmative recommendation. So the broad overview, there's an update to the wetland overlay language, update to the erosion control requirements, some RV occupancy and park allowance in rural area changes, some pre-screen, pre-app, and as-built requirements for commercial developments, legal notice requirements and costs, and then a slew of miscellaneous changes. I'll step through these. If you see a yellow highlight, I'm going to focus in on that provision. Otherwise, I'll let you ask a question if you want more details on one of these highlighted. So we're clarifying the wetland review trigger. We want folks to know when that's going to be triggered. So it's not ambiguous, and we're very consistent with the citizens. We're also making applicable the jurisdictional stream setbacks. This is in alignment with the subdivision regulations that were approved back in October. We're clarifying the definition of major and minor projects. Unfortunately, we had 2 different definitions for those in our ordinance, and so we're cleaning that up. Added buffer requirements for existing stormwater management areas. This keeps folks from just filling areas that maybe aren't a pond, but they are serving the stormwater needs of the area without replacing them with an adequate facility. Adding exemptions for certain lots with wetlands, pile-supported marine accessory structures, bulkheads, and recreational trails. And then highlight and clarify wetland impact on density. That's not a change, but a lot of folks miss it in the zoning ordinance, so we're kind of making sure they're directed to that section. Erosion control requirements, we moved some definitions around. We clarified land disturbance minimums. In the ordinance as it stands today, or prior to today, there was no clear way at what point does someone trigger a land disturbance. So we're adding some square footage requirements for that, and I'll highlight that here in a second. We synchronize site plan approval, so once you get your site plan, you don't have to go get another land disturbance permit. It's all granted at the same time. We changed the erosion control plan to CBMPP plan, which is the industry standard term for that. And then we've added a fine adjustment, which I'll talk about here in just a second. So for the permit requirements, now if it's a land disturbance that's less than 500 square feet and it's outside of any buffers, then you don't have to come to us for a land disturbance permit. If you're proposing a land disturbance within a buffer, you can still do up to a wetland buffer. You can still do 25 square feet without any type of erosion control plan or land disturbance permit. And then if you're in a wetland, you obviously have to go ahead and go through that process. So again, just setting some parameters there so folks don't have to run to us for every little land disturbance. On enforcement, we found that people were just not getting a land disturbance permit, and then if they were caught, so a neighbor complained, we only respond to complaints in those situations, then we would show up and the only solution was, okay, well now you have to get a permit. Well, so what this does is you have to pay twice the permit fee. So there's some negative aspect of going ahead and trying to game the system by working without a permit and just saying, well, if they catch me, I'll just have to apply for one. So our permits are pretty inexpensive, so it makes it, it makes it $50 instead of $25. So it's not that onerous, but it'll be a little bit of a disincentive there. On RV park allowances and RV occupation changes. So now we're changing it so that way only low-density RV parks are possible in RR, RA, and CR zoning. You used to be able to do a high-density RV park in those areas with a commission site plan approval. And we're changing that so that way you can only request low-density RV parks. We're making an update to allow the occupancy of an RV following disaster damage, just tweaking that language a little bit. There's going to be a new allowance for the occupancy of an RV during a construction of a home. This is a pretty big change in our ordinance. We get lots of requests for this. We'll kind of have to just see how this plays out over time. It might trigger more complaints because suddenly folks will see more people living in our RVs, but we have some pretty strict requirements. They have to be hooked up to some type of sewer system, whether that's a septic tank. They have to follow the same setbacks, but this will allow someone to live in an RV while their home is being occupied, and they have to have a building permit for that home. It can't just be some future aspirational building permit. There's also a new allowance to occupy an RV in RR, RA, and CR districts, so basically rural districts, as an accessory dwelling. This is another very big change in our zoning ordinance. They have to meet the minimum lot size requirements, but we're essentially recognizing these are rural areas. And if someone wants to have an RV as an accessory dwelling, that's probably appropriate in a rural area. And again, there are requirements about being connected to sewer and or septic and things of that nature. We have those provisions in here. I'm not going to dwell on those in the presentation. Pre-screen and pre-app requirements, I'm not going to dwell on these, but we're clarifying those. The biggest change is the requirement for as-builts for major projects. Essentially, this just means an engineer has to submit a drawing at the end of the project saying this was built the way it was approved. We had a case recently where someone submitted a commercial site plan to expand and add another building, and we went to the site and found out they had never built their detention pond that had been approved in the prior approval. And if that type of stuff happens, that can cause stormwater problems throughout an entire neighborhood. And so this essentially says that they need to submit a document stamped by an engineer that says, yes, this was actually built as designed. Legal notice requirements and costs. We removed the requirement to publish notice in the paper for a planning commission meeting. That was just required in our ordinance and not in the law itself. And then we're also going to start requiring the rezoning applicant to bear the cost of advertising. Sometimes an applicant will choose to delay. They'll say, you know what, I want to pause and do some more research. Well, we've already spent sometimes up to $1,000 on that advertising, and we're going to need to re-advertise it. Well, they can do that now, but they're going to be paying for that advertising, so that'll be on them. Miscellaneous changes, some different cleanups in different sections. Another big change is historically you've only ever been allowed to have one dwelling on a parcel in a zoned area. We're changing that so in rural areas, if you meet the minimum lot size requirements, you can have 2 dwellings on a parcel. Aligning our stormwater requirements with the subdivision regulations. We've added some specific provisions for certain uses, and I discussed this yesterday, but there have been some updates to the food truck requirements and also striking the aquaculture requirements. Again, just a couple minor additional changes here that we've noted, but I'm now going to go to a couple different changes that have been proposed since the public hearing, and I have 4 here. These were highlighted in green in the addendum that we submitted to reflect these. The first is a local provision change to Planning District 15. This came as a result of a relatively controversial public hearing we had for a rezoning in the Bell Forest area. They had a local provision that said, based on property values or the impact to property values, we should limit certain types of rezonings. And that's a pretty subjective requirement. How do you know whether something's actually going to help a property value or negatively impact a property value? So they asked if that could be changed to just remove that subjective aspect and just said nothing beyond RSF 1 and RSFE is permitted in District 15. On review, staff believes this proposal should not be incorporated at this time so that the request can be further reviewed in conjunction with the comprehensive plan development. You know, at the end of the day, these issues are controversial, they're difficult, and it's our job as staff to present an option to y'all that we feel like tries to capture the priorities of all the stakeholders in this situation. So we're in the comprehensive plan process. That's the proper way for us to try to handle this and come back to y'all probably in October, November, to see if there's a better solution than just kind of a across-the-board prohibition like what's being proposed. And just to note, some people think, well, that means does this mean it's just wide open game for developers to develop anything? No, the standard rezoning rules still apply. So I have just two circles on the screen as an example. The circle that you'll see to the right or to the east on that map, we had someone reach out to us the other day saying, hey, we want to do a subdivision right here. Well, that's surrounded by rural agriculture, so certainly our zoning requirements are going to impact our recommendation there. The controversial case, which unfortunately will come back to you all in about a month, was near the left circle, and you can see it's a much more complex zoning environment because you have business commercial node at 64 and 181 and then higher density residential. So the fact that we're not creating a blanket prohibition doesn't mean that just anything comes in the gate. Our normal zoning requirements will still be evaluating these cases as they come forward. The next was a local provision in District 16, just a very technical thing about front yards in the Montrose area and accessory dwellings. Pretty administrative change there. There was another change about preliminary plats and certain approvals removing the requirement for a land disturbance on a subdivision, and then some modifications to where farmers markets can be approved and cabinet shops can be approved. That's all that we have for this. The staff recommendation you can see on the screen, and it's to adopt Resolution 22078 with the exclusion of those proposed amendments for 2.3.15.3 as we have stated here.
Thank you, Matthew.
Matthew, if you have a question on the Plan District 15, so we're going to leave it like it is, like it was originally set up by the committee?
That's correct. So we will leave it unchanged, unamended.
Okay. So it'll still be restricted like they want, correct?
Well, it'll have that
to a certain point.
It'll have that current restriction, okay. Which would indicate that if they could come with some type of evidence that this truly is impacting property values, then it would be given weight in our staff review.
Okay.
I just have a comment to make about whenever we amend zoning ordinances is that, you know, people ask all the time, what can you do about growth? What can you do? What can you do? And then it's kind of like you have this balance between property rights and you have this balance between what is fair and what is reasonable. And yes, zoning is one of the items that is in the tool chest it's a land use tool. And when you have things in there that, like you said, are a little bit, vague as far as like, well, does this help or does this not help? When we're in the process of developing a new comprehensive plan, we really don't have any good guidelines to go by right now. And so I think that the things that we're holding off on is not hurting. It's just that I think some people think that there would be more assurance if those wording was removed. And I just feel like we've been suffering from not having a real good guide, if that makes any sense. That's my opinion. But I do think that I was talking to someone yesterday that called because it's been kind of interesting today. We had 2 rezoning cases that were pretty cut and dry. I mean, there was really, people might say, well, why didn't you ask questions? It was pretty cut and dry. I mean, right, the second one that we did, it's like, well, why was it B2 to begin with? It's surrounded by B3. Why did that one get? Sometimes I feel like that whenever these areas come under zoning, sometimes you might get it wrong to begin with, okay? And then a lot of rezonings are correcting things that maybe it was a grandfathered in situation or something and that use has changed or whatever. But a lot of times just completely rezoning something just way out in the blue, like you said, you were not in the blue, but in the green is a better word to use. There, you have to use the process. And so someone called me yesterday griping about something, and he said, well, I just want to tell you this. I don't mind complying with all you guys' regulations and your zoning ordinance. Just make it fair that everybody has to do the same thing that I do. I will do exactly what you guys say to do. I will comply. I will whatever I got to do. But just don't treat me one way and treat another person the other way. And I think that you guys do a great job of being fair. And, when we don't hear what we want to hear sometimes, it's just because you don't, it's just you ask a question and it may not get the answer you want to hear. And I think a lot of these little changes that you're talking about are just cleaning up some stuff that we've had problems with. But I know there's probably going to be some people who are upset that we've postponed the language for District 15. But I think you reiterated that it still exists the way it is. There just has to be a little bit more proof to prove that. And I'm not so sure that what's suggested is fair. So I don't know if what's in there is fair or what is suggested is fair, and I really do think we need to really make sure we get this right. Because in high-growth areas, I'm a firm believer that zoning can be beneficial if it's fair and it's reasonable, and you need to be able to treat everybody equally. And we also need to realize that people have property rights as well. And we are changing here in Baldwin County. I heard an elected official about 30-plus years ago give a speech at my little hometown Summerdale School alumni dinner, and he said, if I could put a fence around Baldwin County, I would. But we can't. And so it's not that you want to keep people out, but we need to be fair and we need to be reasonable in these situations, and that's how I feel about it. And I do feel like that you guys are trying your hardest. So,
I think that, pardon me, I think this is a perfect example of as we get bigger, let's get better. Everything we do periodically needs to be reviewed and looked at. Matthew, I want to commend you and your staff for literally doing that. If something is a rule or a regulation now, that's the rule or the regulation, but that doesn't mean it's cast in stone. And we've got to modernize things. We've got to ask ourselves what's next. And the stormwater runoff is a key part of responding to development. And I think it's just vital that we have the sort of review that you and your team are doing and communicating it to the citizens. The being able to know what our options are, I think, is critical. I mean, I love the 70s. I had people tell me, man, I wish it was like it was in the 70s. Well, we're not that age anymore, and there were some good things that were going on, but just like the person that wants to have the fence around Baldwin County, my guess is he had a fence company and wanted to build the fence. But I'm just saying it could be, though. That's the way some people do things. And lastly, being able to take out that requirement of having to print it in the newspaper. I'm not anti-newspaper, but do any of y'all read the legal notices and the little bitty fine print? I have to use a magnifying glass to even see the topics. That's fine, but if that's the way people find out about things, I just don't believe that. That was the way it was years ago. But modernize things. Let's use our money efficiently and effectively. And for those of you that are watching this and those of you here, this guy right here knows how to make things happen. He's a doer, and he's not afraid to throw something out there that might be a little controversial. But if we can all get around the table and recognize what our options are, and then pick an option that's not my idea is right, your idea is wrong, it's about making things better. So, Matthew, thank you very much for sharing this with us. And we'll be having a test on all this, guys, right afterwards. So I hope you were taking good notes. Thank you, Matthew.
I've totally lost control of this public hearing. So, every bit of that was discussion at the end. So I'm going to open the public hearing up. All right. Is there anybody signed up here today that wishes to speak for or against what was presented up here today?
Mr. Chairman, I do have one person. Kelly Stewart has signed up.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank y'all for letting me have the opportunity to speak. And actually, Matthew and I have spoken about, this is for the District 15 local proposal, and it's just trying to clear up or clarify some of the language in it, especially after we had spoken about it. So that's what we're attempting to present, actually, trying to make it easier for everybody involved to be more clear. We do have a lot going on around there. Jubilee Farms is is there on one side, and there's another huge development going on too. So as a community, just trying to keep things in the community where everybody knows the growth is happening, so it's not against that. We know people have the opportunity to develop their properties and things. We're just trying to help maintain the integrity of our community and our beautiful place. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Anybody else signed up, Ron?
No, sir.
Okay. Public hearing is closed. Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the amendments to the Baldwin County zoning ordinance with the exclusion of the one for District 15 that Matthew noted.
And I'll second that.
All right, we got a motion by Commissioner Underwood, a second by Commissioner Davis. I'm not scared to ask if there's any further discussion, but I'll do it anyway. But all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Well, before you open the public hearing, isn't it okay to ask Matthew questions or make comments to him before the public hearing
I
is
think
open?
normally what we used to do is we save discussion for discussion and all that stuff. I mean, and then if we had questions for the applicant, we would do that, but I have to open the public hearing up first. So I'll figure it out one day. All right. Thanks, Matthew.
Thanks.
So we have other staff recommendations. Excuse me. If I don't do the next one, we're not going to be under the lights. So Commissioner Gruber, we need to pay the bills.
All right. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we pay the bills totaling $4,808.99.94, with the exception of those requested to be pulled, which are listed in the Baldwin County accounts payable, which will be item number 138. And of this amount, $46,873.09 is payable to the Baldwin County Board of Education, and $34,075.90 is payable to the Gulf Shores Board of Education for their portion of the county sales and use tax.
I'll second it.
All right, Commissioner Gruber made a motion to pay the bills with the exception of item 138. Commissioner Underwood second that. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Chairman, make a motion we pay item number 138.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Got a motion by Commissioner Gruber, second by Commissioner Underwood to approve item number 138. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. And let the record reflect that Commissioner Davis refrained from item 138. EA2 is no action required on that. Notification of interim payments approved by the clerk treasurer's allowed under policy 8.1. We have our other staff recommendations that we discussed yesterday. There's no action needed on all three of these items. Y'all want to discuss those at all anymore today?
So these will actually be, these are approved basically, right?
No.
No.
Okay.
No.
None of these are approved.
No.
No? Okay.
No, sir.
No, but we did get some information, some further information about the retiree lump sum payment.
Yes, yesterday.
And I think that, did you say July or June? When?
I think we've determined to put all this, most of these will probably be coming back up in the June.
In this summer.
June?
Yeah.
First meeting.
And I can bring it to the next work session.
Okay. That would be good,
Please do that,
because,
yeah.
I mean, we got an email this morning asking about it, so it would be good to go ahead and let these retirees know that it will be on the agenda to be voted on. Okay?
And we have Commissioner requests. Are there any requests that y'all would like to make? We have one addenda, item HA1. This is Resolution 2022/95, the support of the Alabama Department of Transportation's grant application to assist in funding the I-10 Mobile River Bridge and Bayway project. Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve HA1 dealing with the Department of Transportation's grant application to seek additional funds for the I-10 River Bridge and Bayway project.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Commissioner Davis, a second by Commissioner Underwood to approve Resolution 2022/095, item HA1. Any discussion on that topic? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ron, do we have any staff report today?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman.
I did get notification that our county attorney may want to take us into a short executive session today.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's it.
Do you have anything else, Brad?
No, sir.
Okay. Anybody from the public would like to say anything? Public comments? Okay. Anybody here from the press that would like to ask us any questions? Make any sense? All right, Commissioner comments. Let's go with Commissioner Underwood first.
As I said earlier, I wish all rezoning cases could be that cut and dry. Sometimes that's the contention of the whole job of being a commissioner. But I just want to say congratulations to all the graduates that are graduating from our high schools. Attended one last night. It was a very great evening to see. I was at Robertsdale, and I just want to congratulate everybody that's such an experience. I'll never forget that day for myself, and it's the beginning of the next phase of your life. And so thank all of our staff, thank everybody that was here today, and appreciate all the hard work and effort, and I appreciate my colleagues. It's great working with you guys.
Commissioner Davis.
Okay. Find it interesting. They did this when I graduated years ago. Asked the seniors what commencement meant. And all of them talked about ending their high school. But we all know that commencement means the start of something. And it's the start of the rest of your life, whether it's education, military, or work, or family, or whatever. And I, too, want to congratulate all of our seniors and seniors-to-be. Education has been a key part of my professional career. 10 years at a 4-year college, 15 years at a 2-year college. Some of the smartest people I know how to build things, make things, repair things, and program things. We've got opportunities coming up in the near future and long-term future that are going to be great opportunities for our youngsters, and the school system building the technical high school, the timing of that is absolutely perfect, and you'll be seeing and hearing more information on topics that are going to be a part of as we get bigger, let's get better. And I too appreciate the opportunity to serve with my 3 colleagues, and even more importantly, the department heads. Because folks, I've said it before, I'll probably be the last thing I say, but not necessarily this time. This is the finest organization in terms of staff and people that get things done that I've ever been associated with. You guys are proud of what you do. You're demonstrative about telling people about what you do. And if we bump into each other with differences of opinion, we settle that without the public getting all tangled up in it. And I think that's very important. So thank you very much.
Commissioner Gruber?
Yep, just want to thank the employees, for all that they do, to getting us our agenda prepared, and just in general, all the hard work that they do. It's remarkable just to see what's going on in this county with all the projects that we have going on, and everyone is just, working together to make Baldwin County a great place. And I also went last night to a Foley High School graduation, which was over 200 and something, which was kind of small for Foley, but it was a smaller one, because what happened when Alberta pulled away from it, there was that gap right there, and now they're starting to fill back in again, is what the new principal said last night. So it was a very good turnout. The weather was not bad. Most of the time it's pretty hot and that, but they all had a good time, and just a lot of students that were under the honors program. Surprisingly, how many children are graduating under the summa cum laude and all of this. I mean, it was remarkable to see that. And they had some that were going on into the military when they had special sashes for them, which was pretty neat. So it was pretty good all around turnout. And again, thank all the employees for all the hard work y'all do, and Thank you.
Yep. Commissioner Underwood stole my idea because my idea today was graduates, and I didn't think anybody else would think about that, and they all did. So here I am. It's an important time in our lives when we have graduates because that's our future. Some of us have kids nearing this time frame, and I know a lot of people. We've all been there and done it. When I graduated high school, I was just happy to get the cap and the gown. I didn't get all that other stuff. Now they have. Now you can barely carry the stuff out on the field with you. So I know Bay Minette is doing a new thing on Thursday night where they're actually putting covers on the chair backs of distinguished individuals. So, like I said, I was happy to get a cap and the gown, and that was it. I just wanted to send out prayers to all those graduates and the families of the graduates because the graduates has got it easy. They go out and strike out and do their own thing. The families worried to death. So the prayers needed both ways on that, and because there's after the graduation ceremony is over with, it seems like some celebrations are intact, and just pray for all the safety. Arrive alive, don't drink and drive. Always a statement that we formulate ourselves around. And please just take heed of that. Listen to all the stuff you're going down to the beach. Heed the safety warnings that we've already talked about today about the water and all that kind of good stuff. I just wanted to reach out and say another public thank you to all of our staff that we work with. Every meeting that we have, we always thank the staff for what they do. They're the most vital part of this organization, not us four up here. And we commend you. Special highlights to Terry and her staff for what they did with the recycling day, and Joey and your staff for what you did to get the site ready last week. There was a remarkable turnaround on that, and your staff worked diligently and very hard to make that a special day for us. I'm just going to end with this because all of us up here, the four of us up here, y'all have already said it today. You stole my thunder again on that day, thanking y'all for working with each other because if we didn't thank each other and talk good about each other, we're not going to get it. So I really do enjoy working with you. And it's a pleasant relationship. There's not much altercations, if any. We're a good working body. And we deal with a lot of stuff, whether it's emails or phone calls that none of y'all out there have any idea unless we complain to y'all what we deal with on a daily basis. And when we have to make these phone calls back, it's not always nice. It's not pleasant. You get an earful, and more so in the negative than in any of the positive. And I just I saw something that popped up on social media this week that really made sense, and it's actually a quote that I don't know if Nick Saban stole it or if he's just using it or borrowing it from Steve Jobs. But Steve Jobs originally said this, and they said, if you want to make people happy in life, don't be a leader, sell ice cream. That hits home. Because as we sit up here as leaders and try to lead this county, we're not doing it to make people happy. And we're not going to always make people happy. We're very seldom to make anybody happy. And I just want to thank y'all for being in the trenches with me. And together, we're doing a lot of great things for this county. Well, one of these days, we're going to highlight everything that we've accomplished in the last almost 4 years of us being in this position, because it's a lot and the public needs to know about it. And I think we'll get with Ron, and we're going to be working on some kind of list to highlight towards the end of these terms. So I appreciate y'all for everything that y'all do in this room. So with that being said, Brad, you want to take us into executive session?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, I recommend the Commission adopt a motion to adjourn this meeting and convene an executive session to discuss with your attorney the legal ramifications of and legal options for pending litigation, controversies not yet being litigated but imminently likely to be litigated or imminently likely to be litigated if the governmental body pursues a proposed course of action. Let it be reflected in the minutes that I'm an attorney licensed to practice law in Alabama and that this exception is applicable applicable to the plan discussion. And so we do not need to reconvene after you vote, Mr. Chairman. So simply call for the vote and then announce that we will not reconvene.
Commissioners, you've heard our county attorney. Can I get a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we follow the direction and suggestion of our attorney going forward.
I'll second it.
Got a motion by Commissioner Davis, a second by Commissioner Underwood to go into executive session as stated by our attorney. And please note that we will not reconvene this meeting after this vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.
All right.